Title: Mia a Lightning Conqueror, Chapter 4, Mia's Desert Experience, by Stasia Shi, copyright 2016. I was sitting in front of my new smart TV. I couldn't bring all my DVD collections, so I started a new collection. This time, I decided to download my movie purchases into cloud storage. I haven't figured out how to set up parental guidance, so I only purchased G and PG rated movies. As I watched previews of soon-to-be my collections for nieces, as Mia called them, I smiled. I wondered whether I could create my own version of my own fairy tale, as Mia suggested. Somehow I felt that my fairy tale should have Mia in it. Too bad I haven't heard from her since our goodbye at the airport. I didn't even know whether she was still alive. All news regarding Mia was bad. She became a terrorist suspect. All her belongings in Indonesia were confiscated by the government and were given to Mawar Perkasa as a means to compensate her loss of her son and husband. There were 164 people who died, but Mawar was the only one compensated. I was very angry when I heard this news. Not only Mawar accused an innocent, but she also disregarded other people who have died in that incident. Mawar Perkasa was so mad when she learned that Mia had so little wealth. I could persuade the bank in Switzerland to refuse the Indonesian government's request to confiscate her money there, but the bank had no choice but to freeze her account. Professor Larry Johnston called me. He told me regarding Mia's phone call. He asked whether I received any call from her and asked me to update him on any news about Mia. Sometimes I pondered, why did Mia call Larry and didn't call me? Bumi Darmawan was in jail. The investigators learned that Bumi paid for the rental house where Mia and her bodyguards stayed for several weeks before the explosion. Bumi was accused of being Mia's accomplice. His wife divorced him. Mawar wanted to confiscate Bumi's belongings, but everything was under his wife's name, so nothing was confiscated. Peter Bara disappeared. The rumor said that he was very angry at Mia and he wanted to help collecting proofs that Mia was guilty of the explosion. Once I thought that Peter was very lucky that he missed the New Year's Eve party gone awry. 3 days after, he disappeared. Even his family didn't know where he was. I wasn't sure he was a lucky man anymore. I've lived in this 2-bedroom apartment in Hong Kong for 2 weeks. I slept in the master bedroom. The other bedroom was for my 2 bodyguards. I wasn't happy with this arrangement. I was just a financial advisor. I shouldn't be able to afford 2 expensive bodyguards. However, when Mr. Lung suggested that I hired 2 bodyguards from him, I immediately agreed. His offer came right after the news announced Mia as a terrorist suspect. One of them pretended to be a driver. The other one was a personal butler who cleaned the house and cooked the meals. Fortunately, they did a good job. If they didn't, I probably wouldn't dare to complain. The only positive effect was my clients in Hong Kong were all impressed that I had a personal driver and a personal butler, and I could convince more rich people to become my clients. After downloading several movies, I was tired and decided to sleep. I turned off the TV, closed all curtains, turned off lights, and lied on my bed. "Do not turn on the light. Mo is here and Mia is in this building," a voice was coming from under my bed. "Mo? How is Mia?" I asked after I recovered from my shock. "Not good. She eats very little every day. Do you want to see her?" Mo asked. "Can I? Is it going to be dangerous?" I asked. "It should be okay. You've closed all curtains and lights are off. The possibility that a spy, if any, would see you move out of your apartment is very small. "We've been very careful in bringing Mia into this building," said Mo. I followed Mo to another unit where Mia was waiting inside the bedroom. Mia was never fed, but she was way thinner than before. "Isaac, thank you that you still want to see me," said Mia. "Look at you. Why do you refuse to eat?" I scolded her and quickly regretted. "I have no appetite," she answered. "I'm sorry. I should have comforted you instead of scolded you," I said. "I don't mind being scolded by you. It is nice to hear your voice again. I thought I've lost all my old friends. I thought all of you wouldn't want to speak with me," Mia said. "After all, I'm a terrorist suspect." "What happened after I left to Hong Kong?" I asked. Mia told me everything that happened until she found out that Gold died. Then she couldn't stop crying. I patted her back and suggested her to sleep. She obeyed. As soon as I walked out from Mia's bedroom, Mo asked me, "Is she better?" "I'm not sure," I answered as I closed the bedroom door behind me. Some people say that if a woman tells her painful story to her friend, she will feel better. I'm not sure if it applies to Mia. "She has told you everything," said Mo. "Only until Gold died." "What happened next?" I asked. "We buried him. 2 fishermen who were hired by Mr. Lung came and offered us help. We split into 2 groups and 2 ships. In the first ship, all the girls and Ho were cuddling in a hidden space inside a big fridge behind the ices. It was Ho's idea to create that space with some wood panels. We wore warm clothing, yet it was still very cold. All ships going north were raided and inspected, but they didn't find us. Regular person would have been frozen to death, but we're not regular person. We've been trained to survive in extreme cold weather. We help Mia survive by cuddling around her," said Mo. "It takes hours to sail out of Indonesia. Even if you could survive the cold, how could you survive in a small space for that long?" I asked. "Luckily, the fishermen have prepared the oxygen tanks. They thought to bury us somewhere in the ship, but they've never thought to put us in the fridge," said Mo. "What about the others?" I asked. "The others planned to be the decoy, so when Black Hawk came to raid them, they didn't hide. Don't say to them that Mia had escaped Indonesian waters and she wasn't in the ship." Black Hawk didn't believe Don. Perhaps they also didn't forgive him for killing one of them. When Black Hawk said that because Don has burned their brother, they would burn Don's ship. They fought and ignited fire on each other's ship until Black Hawk's leader ordered a retreat. If they continued fighting instead of putting away the fire, all of them would have died. Both parties had casualties. Some flying knives hit Don as he jumped back to his ship. He jumped to the enemy's ship to ignite fire and killed the man who killed Gold, yet he himself got killed by them. Our team took our revenge and shot every enemy who jumped back to their ship. Because they used their chi to jump from one ship to another, maybe they could be injured by bullets or arrows. At the end of the fight, Don and Locke died. The others were injured but survived," said Mo. "Black Hawk's flying dagger technique is amazing indeed. I heard Mia say that it could pierce through titanium pan," I said. "Oh, that isn't proven yet. I brought a titanium frying pan to our lab. The lab confirmed a very thin layer of titanium was added on the surface of the pan that is used for cooking. The knives were stuck on the back of the pan where there was no titanium," said Mo. "I see. Does Mia know that Don and Locke died?" I asked. "No, I do not dare to tell her. When I returned to Mia after I visited the funeral, I was very sad. Mia asked me why. I answered that I was upset because Hong had to marry a man who was more than 10 years older, whom she didn't love," Mo answered. "Really?" I asked. "That man from another bodyguard group has asked Mr. Lung to give Hong as his wife when we were away. Hong learned about the marriage proposal when she returned to China. She deferred the answer until Don's return. She wanted to ask Don to refuse that proposal because she wanted to marry one of the men in her group. However, after Don's death, the group's existence was in jeopardy. I heard the group was disbanded and each member was sent to a different group. Hong had no choice but to accept the marriage proposal, said Mo. Poor Hong, said I. That is our lives. We were born without many privileges like you, said Mo. Where do you live now? I asked. I cannot tell you the exact location, but it is somewhere in the desert, Mo answered. How long will Mia stay here? I asked. As soon as we can find a remedy for her lack of will to live, she answered. I was thinking for a while and I got an idea. I said, Mia is a workaholic. Maybe she needs a job. Do you think Mr. Lung might need an engineer? Perhaps I should talk to him.